audience. So, breaking news finally got it into the non speaking Spanish audience right now. So, I got the honor of having my brother, my fellow coach, Mr. Wade Neely. Welcome to the show,
Mi hermano.
mi hermano.
Good to be with you, Rigo. How are you, my friend?
Thanks, man. I've been enjoying doing this podcast, but I felt like I needed somebody and someone that I can enjoy talking to and having just a great time actually.
Absolutely, man. I've been looking forward to it, and I've been trying to beef up my Spanish, but I haven't got quite fluent enough to understand a lot of the episodes. But I'm proud of you, and I know you've been putting in a lot of work and progress, man. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's yeah, like you say, it's work in progress. So let's see where it goes. But I'm really having fun with having everybody
Yes,
over
sir.
the show. So who else to be the first one to interview with me in actually like my known it's not my main language, but I really enjoy talking to people. So but I really want to have a somebody that I enjoy talking to, my a really good friend. So who else but Mr. Wade. So for you guys that doesn't know, like me and Wade used to coach in the same gym. That's how everything started. We started working out in the old P-TWON gym over there in Pulaski, Tennessee. He still does. I kind of step away a little bit of coaching, but I think one day I'm coming back. So we'll
I
see what
hope so.
happens.
I hope so.
Wait, so well, let's start with the CrossFit Games. So it finally happened. So we finally have some people enjoying the CrossFit Games. A lot of surprises, a lot of new thing, new stuff. No Matt Fraser, so it's a lot of stuff. So let's start with that. So my first thought it's I'm surprised Justin Medeiros. So I wasn't expecting this guy. I mean, this kid actually it's super strong. But actually, I was thinking he was gonna place like maybe third or fourth. But I wasn't even expecting like he took it all the way.
Yeah, it was quite the run. You know, Justin Medeiros, he comes in, he finished pretty strong last year, and everybody's like, "Yeah, who is this kid?" And then you go into 2021, and you know the way the calendar broke this year. First of all, you know you were just excited to have a games at all, and
Right.
then you know we were excited to have a games kind of break in the way that it broke in terms of having fans in the stands. Fantastic event. It was my first time in Madison, first time covering the games, and it was amazing. And then yeah, just Medeiros comes in. Didn't even really kind of know this. I think a lot of people didn't know this, but you know, the last event, well, that was the only event that he won the entire weekend. And he comes in. Yeah, exactly. He
Oh,
comes in.
really?
He only that was the only victory of the entire weekend, and it was the win of the tournament. So uh, when you kind of take that away and you put that into perspective, is that not that's kind of what CrossFit and the games is really all about? You know, he didn't have any poor finishes. I think Pat Vellner, who finished second place, the very first event, he finished like, which was a swimming event, he finished 35th or something like that, 35, 36, kind of far back in the pack. But Justin was right there, like barely outside the top 10, if any, outside. But yeah, his first win was the last event of the entire weekend. He finished in style.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that, but I'm looking at the numbers. Yeah, you're right. The last three events for Justin Medeiros, he placed third on the event 13, second on 14, and first place on the last event. So that's kind of shocking. So I wasn't expecting that.
It was
And
a, it was, I
yeah,
was
go
just,
ahead.
it was quite the run too, because you could kind of, being there in Madison, you could kind of feel the energy and just the first event or two that he was wearing the leader shirt. You were like, "Whoa, this is kind of new. This is it looks a little unusual." Like you said, Matt's not there, so it looks a little disorienting.
Yeah.
By Sunday, by the time the big events of the weekend came up, you could tell that his confidence was sky high. And on that last event, there was no doubt about it. He wanted to win going away.
Yeah, and the first event, and let me see. Yeah, first. And second event, though, we got people like we never heard of them before, so it was kind of shocking, like not seeing the people we all know, like they participate every year. Like last year, like only on the final contest, on the final CrossFit Games, there was only 5 athletes. So not seeing those people in the on the top four uh, places of the event number one, so that was kind of weird.
For sure. And having watched, obviously, none of us were there last year in terms of watching the games. They were out in California at the ranch and stuff, and just being there and taking and soaking in that environment. Last year was kind of an unusual year. I went back and watched the documentary that they did on last year with Matt and Tia finishing, holding the hands across the
Yeah.
finish line. Amazing stuff. But it just felt weird, and I didn't really notice or think about it. But there was no fans, number one. No really music or anything, and there's
Yeah.
not, really any, pumping up going on. It was just barbells just hitting the ground and sweating and grunting and, all that stuff. It was just kind of a weird environment, and the people in Wisconsin were so happy, and the CrossFit media people were so excited to have the event back in Madison this year, because it just felt like that big stage again, really, honestly.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on? Well, for me, let's just explain a little bit. Like, I kind of was feeling like in the last 2-3 years, Noah Olsen was really struggling to get on those places, like winning the games. But and when Matt Fraser retired last year, I thought like it's probably Noah Olsen's year, but it was completely different. There was a lot of people pushing back, and Noah Olsen didn't. What place did he finish the games? I'm not even
Noah finished right at number 10.
number 10. Yeah, that's right. So I was kind of surprised. I thought it was gonna be Noah's year.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. I flew in. So they had the first events on Wednesday. I think they did like 4, maybe 5 events on the very first day. They really they punished the guys and the
They
girls
kill.
right at the beginning.
But I think also that has something to do with because they were gonna do the cuts again one more time. Like they were gonna cut people. So I guess they were just trying to end up with the really top athletes of the games.
Yeah, and they gave them Thursday on a rest day. Thursday was rest day, and then Friday is when they started making the first set of cuts there. But yeah, when I got there on Thursday, so I missed all of Wednesday's events, but I was there for Thursday, and I was scrolling through the leaderboard trying to get caught up and everything. And yeah, you're expecting Noah to be right there near the top, and seemed like he really just never got off to a great start. I give him props though. I was really impressed. He never threw in the towel. He was there. You could see why he was a fan favorite, because he was really, really energized. You can kind of just read his body language a little bit that, he was disappointed with some of the events, but he still had that smile. He still had that enthusiasm. He was cheering on the other guys. So for me, that was really cool to see. I'm sure he would have probably liked to finish a little bit better than 10th, but there was some really strong competition this year too.
Yeah, and of course, second place, Patrick Vellner. So, I mean, I wasn't surprised at all because he did a really great job on last year's game. So, I wasn't actually expecting going on second place because we had so many good athletes on last year's that I thought they were just going to place a little bit better on this year's game.
Right. And, Pat Vellner, he came in and he was a really cool athlete to cover. Just had a blast. Had a few small little interactions in the hallway here and there with him. Very nice, very friendly. And, I'm just looking at some of his result finishes here as well. The last 5 events, event 10, 11th place. And then really he turned on the gas in the last few, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And he's even came out and done a couple of interviews. He finished 11th in the last event. But it was one of those deals where he knew that he was basically locked into second place unless Medeiros, something bad happened.
Yeah, screwed it up really bad.
Right. So he essentially said, hey, I got second kind of locked up. I just don't want anything bad to happen. And obviously you don't want to see anything bad happen. So, but really right there, he put himself in position toward the end to maybe get a shot. But he seemed at peace. I know he would have obviously liked to have had a first place finish, but he seemed at peace with his performance overall.
Yeah, because he was coming, like you say, in the last 5, 6 events. Like he placed on 11 on event number 10. Then he placed fifth, then third, second. So he was even doing better than Medeiros. So it was just, I mean, like you say, it was kind of locked in on second place. That's why I think he didn't try that hard on the last one.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
and Medeiros placed first. So, I mean, there was nothing to do right there.
Yeah, and the energy in the arena that night was unbelievable. Medeiros left no doubt, and like you touched on it, he needed to have a really poor finish for Vellner to even have a shot. And
Yeah.
by the time he got off, I think it was rowing, chest to bar, and then that walking lunges complex. And by the time he got to the lunges, everybody else was so far behind. He's like, you know what, it's mine to finish. So Vellner with a very strong second place.
Yeah, I think even Medeiros, if he would have placed like 10, 11, that he would have won anyway. So it was so far ahead, like in the points, like there was nothing to do right there for Pat Vellner. What about girls? No surprise, right?
Right. I mean, so I'll say this. Obviously, we all have seen the results, and those that have watched the games year after year, or even watch training videos. Tia, but it was something else, man. Being able to see her up close for the first time was just truly just unbelievable, man. You're just like, holy
dominating from start to finish.
From start to finish, she never trailed the entire games. I mean, she won the first event, which was a swim event. So the Australians traditionally, men and women, usually do pretty well in those events, and so it was like just a feather in her cap, right, to get started, and she never let up, and it was just unbelievable how dominant she was, really from start to finish.
Yeah, I think his worst finish was, I think, 6th place, if I'm not mistaken. Event number 5. He placed on 6th. So other than that, he was just winning every single workout.
Yeah, and at this point, really, honestly, we probably shouldn't, be surprised. She is just, go through her last 5 events. 5th place, first, third, and first. Just going away every single event. And in the media tent after the games were over, they had a small press conference. We came back in, and we were out on the floor for the podium ceremony. And before they gave out the medals and the trophies for the podium, they had event wins. So you get a bonus for every event that you win. And they called her name out for one of the first few, and they were like, "Hey, time out. Just stay right there," because she had walked all the way back to her seat. And they said, "No, just stay right here." And if she walks off, she's got 10 different trophies in her hand, because just event after event, she just was racking up victories. Just another flawless performance. And she said she wants to come back next year too.
Holy crap. So that's, it is good for competition, because actually I'm so glad, like Laura Horvath, she's been struggling with a lot of issues to make it to the games and place on the top 5, but she's really strong. I'm just glad she placed 2nd place, because she can show what she's made of, like, because she's really strong. You see the training, you see the every time she's training for any event, she's super strong, she's dedicated. So I'm so glad she's right there on the top 3.
I was glad for her too. And we'll talk more about the big story that week, with Annie there at 3rd. But Laura was fantastic, and she really, unfortunately, flew under the radar because everybody was focused on either Tia or Annie. And, Laura just had a great week of games. It feels like she was right there in the mix every single event. And she kind of had that Medeiros type approach, where she didn't really have a bad event, to my knowledge, really throughout the course of the week. She pretty much was right there in the mix, just kind of that model of consistency. And unless there's a beast, someone that's just that much better or a little bit better than the competition, like Tia. Yeah, except for her. I mean, normally that would be good enough to win. So frustrating for Laura, but I know she was extremely proud of her performance, and she deserves a lot of credit because she had a fantastic week as well.
Yeah, to your point, like, yeah, I mean, seeing that Laura's numbers, if you see across all the events, you can see that those are numbers that can put somebody like winning the games any year. It's just like you have a T on top, that she wins and has a first place every single game. So, like in the men's division, like in previous years, when somebody like Rich Froning, Matt Fraser, like Dan Bailey, those guys place like 15, 12, but then sometimes they go first, then a third place, and that will be a good result. But when you have somebody like Tia, like you're placing first every single game, maybe a third, maybe a fifth, there's no way you can compete against that.
Well, I mean, Laura's worst two events were event 3 and event 4, and she had 15 and 19. And we go back. We talked about Vellner on the men. He had a 38th in his first event. So I mean, you throw that one out. Who knows what happens with him? Maybe. But Laura was just so smooth all the way across. The female events, honestly, I'll tell you this too. The crowd. You had a lot of storylines with Tia. Tia set the record for the most wins, male or female. She, I think, has like 32, 33 wins event-wise total, which is just mind-boggling. She beat Fraser's record. Fraser was in the crowd, and she was kind of talking a little trash to him. They were having some back and forth. He was in the skybox, and she was down on the podium, or on the floor on the mat, and they were kind of talking trash to each other. It was pretty fun. But yeah, the crowd was just at all times just jacked up because the ladies really got after it. And the competition feels like everything was hanging in the balance. Even going into the final event, third place was still up for grabs between Annie and Kristen Holte there.
Yeah, Annie, I mean, it's just unbelievable what she's capable of. And it's I can't believe that she went through all that in her life, like a lot of well, not a lot of things. It's just that she was just going through something really important in her life. Like I wasn't expecting like she plays on third. So it's unbelievable. What was it? The snatch or power clean? Like that she did?
Yeah, so she hit the snatch to,
because she failed the first attempt, but I can't remember which workout was it, like which event.
Yeah, that was the 1 rep max snatch, and
snatch.
That clip is going to go down forever because she grabs the weight, and it's like 1 second, maybe even like less than a second remaining, and she gets it up. I think she was shocked, number one, that the judge counted the rep because the time was so close.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's just got this look on her face like,
yeah.
But she's got her arms like locked out with like 200 something pounds over her head, and just like.
I can't believe it. Like, yeah, she was like, I can't believe it.
It was unbelievable, man. And so that right there, I was very, very close for that event. And, the energy in the crowd when she hit that was just unbelievable.
Which is kind of the same. Like, I don't know if you saw this Brazilian kid like snatching Gui Malheiros.
Yeah. So Guy was one of the guys that.
Yeah.
We could talk about him in a second, but
I'm just surprised, like how beautiful the snatch look. Like, I mean, it was a perfect rep. Like, I can't believe that it was that heavy. Like, he nailed it. Like nothing. Like he was just like showing off to the rest of the class how to do the snatch, but with 305 pounds.
305 pounds, and two things. Some of the Brazilian media. So Guy was in the press conference the night before, and some of the media were there, and they were asking questions, and someone at the end said, "Hey, Guy," I'm trying to remember exactly how they phrased it, but they basically were like, "How much are you going to snatch tomorrow?" Or they basically said like, "Hey, you think you're going to win tomorrow. What's the number going to be? And he's still like 22. How old is he?
I think he's 22.
21.
21, yeah.
Yeah, and
amazing.
he's so young, and he's still kind of figuring everything out, and he just kind of has this look on his face, and he's like, I don't know what the number's going to be, but I'm really excited for it. And he had this look on his face, and it was like, oh, he means business, And
he even dapped.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he couldn't wait to drop the barbell because he was so worried to hit the dab. And
right.
like you touched on, his 305 pounds was just beautiful, and it looked almost identical to the one he did at 275. I mean, everything looked flawless from start to finish from him.
I feel like I can look like that if I'm doing it with the stick.
Maybe with a PVC pipe. I might.
Well, that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can. Yeah, I can do the same rep, but not with that much weight. So it was impressive. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah, he knew that was going to be his event, and I think he won another event earlier in the week too with the power cleans. That dude has just got strength for days.
Which place he? Oh, he plays 7.
Yeah, he had an event 7. I think that was one of the ones where there was the running mixed in with the power cleans, and he was just like walking up to the barbell with like a confidence that nobody else was doing. And when he got to that clean ladder, he was just like, okay, I'm just going for the win here.
He snatched some first places too.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing too. And he was also, they really instituted a cool thing, or Reebok did this year. $10,000 if you were wearing Reebok shoes.
I heard that.
So interestingly enough, $10,000 if you're wearing Reebok shoes. And if you go back and watch a lot of his training videos, he's wearing Nike Metcons all leading up to the games. And then when the $10,000 got announced, he wore those, and he won 2 events
wearing the Reeboks.
Wearing Reeboks, and he won the snatch event without wearing lifters. He was wearing just nanos.
Oh, so he wanted that money that bad.
and I don't know. A few people pointed that out, but a friend of mine had texted me, and they were like, "Hey, what kind of shoes is he wearing?" And I was like, "They look like nanos." So I was like, he sent me a screenshot of like him working out like 4 months prior back in Brazil, and he was like, "I don't think he's wearing. These look like Nikes to me."
Yeah.
So, but it's cool. I think that's a cool way. And there was one of the really cool things was the way they incorporated the adaptive athletes this year. And one of the main adaptive athletes is sponsored head to toe by Nike. And they had asked him, they said, "What are your thoughts on this?" And he's like, "Well, I think it's a great idea." And he's like, looking at all of his gear, he's like, "I just wish that Nike would have, had the same clause." So maybe we'll see that next year. Who
probably, yeah.
Noble is, I think, got the sponsorship for the games locked up, but it'd be cool to see some of these other groups get involved like that.
What they got it for? Like Noble, I think it's for the next 10 years, like they did with Reebok last time. Yeah, because Rigo had it for 10 years, and that contract expired. That's why they went to Noble.
They went to Noble. Noble was a great sponsor. I felt money literally falling out of my pockets every time I would walk by the Noble store. They have a huge store, probably bigger than any CrossFit affiliate I've ever been to. Mayhem, if you've been to Cookeville, maybe that size. And it was a pop-up store they just made just for Noble. I ended up buying 1 or 2 things, and my bank account just dwindled immediately. So
just by walking by, your bank account went down, right?
Absolutely.
just by looking.
Just if you and they had a giant big screen, so you could just go hang out and watch it. So it was beautiful because like you may walk in and you're like, "Ooh, I like that shirt," and you're like, "No, I don't want to buy it just yet." And then, I ended up buying a Chandler Smith, who had an unfortunate, he got cut pretty early, but unfortunate. But I ended up buying one of his jerseys. But if, say you're looking at a person's jersey and you're like, I wouldn't mind that jersey. And then you're like, you watch the event on the big screen, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. You know, so it was beautifully done. And
Yeah, you get excited and then you want to
right,
buy
right.
everything.
You get caught up, and the girl or guy that wins is wearing Noble, and you're like, oh, I got to get some of that. So
I guess
it was fantastic.
it's just like everything else. I mean, when you go to a fight, like I watched the last fight, the UFC fight, and I was like, I'm not buying it. And then after the fight, you want to buy everything. Like, yeah, I want that T-shirt. Yeah, but the good thing is they have payment plans now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. It makes it easier, right?
I wish I would have taken that to my advantage, because I did spend a little cash in the Noble store for sure.
All right. Hey, so I was thinking about like the Reebok. I think, well, I don't know if that's fair game, but do you think Reebok just kind of like, hey, I don't like that you went with Noble, and then I'm just gonna pull that ace under my sleeve?
Honestly, yeah, almost, because they didn't really announce it until like a few days before. So it was almost like, yeah, we are not really happy that you went this direction here. So that was kind of cool. I thought I really liked that fact, because I mean, at the end of the day, even the winners, Medeiros and Toomey, I say only, I'm putting this in air quotes, I would still take $310,000. Don't get me wrong. But compared to, winning salaries, for all the other professional sports in the country and, across the world, a little bit smaller. So the sport of CrossFit's still growing. And I think that's awesome that they're adding that. And they kept that prize structure as well, even for adaptive athletes and for masters and for age group athletes. And then it was smaller. I think it was like $3,000 or $5,000 for the win. So that hits home even more. I mean, imagine, me and you winning some of our events at the local P-TWON CrossFit back in the day. You may have won a few. I usually didn't win very many, but imagine if our coach Big Barry would have handed us a check for $200, that night to the winner.
Just for wearing a P-TWON T-shirt, like just wearing a P-TWON shirt. Hey,
right.
Here's a prize for you.
I would have worn nothing but P-TWON shirts.
I will take it anytime. Like just we were talking just about this guy Guy coming from Brazil. Just any of those guys, basically, like making that trip to the games, just winning an event with Reebok shoes, they just get the money back with whatever they spend on the trip and all the hotels and everything.
Yeah, for sure, and that's something that I totally didn't really appreciate till I got there and was able to kind of talk to some of the people, and it really puts it into context when you're like, yeah, you're flying across the world, like to go take a chance on maybe winning $50,000, 300 if you win the whole thing. So yeah, if you can bag an event early, make your money back right there.
You're just playing for free now.
Yeah, house money right there. So I thought that was a beautiful thing that Reebok did, and I would not be surprised if some of the other big dogs like Nike or some others maybe get involved.
They start doing it too.
That'd be awesome. And like I said, the really cool part was the adaptive athletes and the age groups and the masters, because there's I ran into someone that's based out of Huntsville, Alabama, which is right near Pulaski here, where you used to live, and we used to work out together. And there was a woman there, age 50 to 54 was her age group.
Wow.
And if she had won, I mean, I know what it costs for me to get to Madison. I can only imagine what it cost her with, family and with, training gear and all that stuff. Yeah, if you could win one, definitely win two events, it certainly makes the trip all that much more potentially financially lucrative also.
Yeah, like I say, we basically you're just like having fun. Like when we didn't spend any money, well, you spend money, but then you get it back. Like then you're just having a good time of being at the games, being at the stage of like the CrossFit Games. It is now like it's so big. Like just being there, like for everybody, like participating, like competing against the best of the best in the world, talking about CrossFit. So it's just such an honor just being there. Like I'm sure like if somebody back some money, like just by wearing Reeboks. Like they will anytime they will do that. So how many, not you being at the games, like how many people did you see that they were trying to win that Reebok prize, like by wearing Reeboks? Not too many, or like you will say like half and half, or
So it was kind of hard to tell, because you had people like in the teams division like Mayhem, they are with Reebok year round anyway. Haley Adams on the female side, she's there with Reebok all year round. So
yeah, it's fronting team.
right. So that was the interesting thing is, and so think about this. So to answer your question on a surface level, I guess, it was hard to tell, because here's the dilemma that I heard some people raise. Do you really go full speed? Do you send it, trying to win one event when you might risk an injury or be really sore for the next event, which was what I thought was sweet from Guy, because Guy was like, I don't care, man.
I don't care.
I'm here to party. Like, I'm going to wear, like I said, he's wearing Nikes all year long. And then he's like, I don't care. I'm wearing Nanos. And I won 2 events. I mean, boom, that's 20K right there in the bag. And he still finished,
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, I think, like, in the first few events, like, he felt like he's got a chance. Like, I'm switching to Reeboks now. I need my money.
Right. And yeah, and I didn't even think anything about it until a friend of mine had texted me and was like, hey, by the way, here's a video of him 2 months ago working out in Nikes. And so I think that was very, very cool.
Yeah.
He was the one that really, you could tell the most had switched it up. And that was just, that was very, very closely, looking at it. To the casual observer, I don't know that really anybody noticed a huge difference. Now, one thing, the Medeiros, we talked about him winning the last event by far. But on the last event, we thought some people might, I got nothing to lose. I might as well go for Reebok and, switch it up and go. And I don't know how contracts work and,
right.
Stuff like that. So some people may not have had that opportunity, but it was really cool to be able to see. And I think that happened a lot more at the age group levels in the masters, the teens even. And I think going forward is going to be even better. That's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I was gonna get into the masters and teens division, because I wanted you can see it on the TV, but experiencing it right there in the CrossFit Games, how strong they are. Like, you're thinking about, there are teens and they are stronger than me already. So, and the masters, like, they keep performing at a high level. So it's insane.
That was truly
which by the way, let me just give it a quick shout out to my girl, first Mexican girl, teen, Paulina Haro, 3rd place on teens division. So way to go, first Mexican doing a podium. So we are super proud of her. So great job. So I'm sure we're gonna see her again. He's been struggling for 4 years now, trying to make it into the games, trying to make a podium. So she finally got it. So everybody's so proud of her right now in Mexico.
That is awesome, man. And the international flavor just continues to, and that was what was so cool about the games, the way they unfolded this year. The international flavor is just, it's apparent from the time you get there. My Uber drivers all week long were like, well, I'm from Tennessee. I have an accent. They were like, where are you from? And I was like, well, I'm from Tennessee. And they were like, well, you've got an accent, but, we've been driving people from, Finland, Australia, Japan, but they were like, your accent sounds the craziest. So, but to getting back to the teen division, man, it was really cool. And so I got there just the day that I got there, they were wrapping up the final few events for the age groups and stuff like that. But I did get to see, obviously, Mallory O'Brien on the female side. She's had a really strong run as a teenager and still competed. Had a top 10 finish. I think she was number 7 overall. Haley Adams is just on the outside of that teenage realm.
Right.
And the first event that I went to, or first kind of duties that I went to, was a press conference for the winning of the age groups. And one of the kids that won trains at Mayhem in Cookeville, close to where you and I stomping grounds here in Tennessee. And he's 15 years old, and they're talking to him. And they were like asking about CrossFit, and he's just like, I just started doing this just to stay in shape for like football and, for soccer and stuff like that. And they were already like, well, what about next year? And he's like, I just found out about this 12 months ago. So very, very cool to see the low end of the spectrum. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if I'm not mistaken, one of the winners on the ladies' side was close to 70 years old. I mean, 65 plus. And she looked way more fit than you and I, my friend. I'm just going to put it to you that way. She looks fantastic. So
I mean, I won't deny that. Like it's been a while, and I'm sure those girls, like I say, they've been like performing at the highest level for so many years, and there's just no way we can compete against them.
The cool thing too, I'll say, final thought on the game as far as the teens and the age group. A lot of those people stuck around after the events were over. And so they were done by Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is just the main events. But it was cool to see everybody stick around. And so you would see people wearing their jerseys, or they have their team shirts on. And they hung around and basically, enjoyed the experience, because that's part of it. If you win, that's awesome. But it's really about having the experience more than anything, honestly, is what I took away from it.
And just a quick question: what are your thoughts on those teens division? Do you think their mom and dad are going to allow them to participate next year?
If you finished in the podium, you better, for sure.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, when they interview them, like you say, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, let me ask my mom if she's gonna let me participate next year.
Yeah, if you get your homework done.
Yeah, I gotta do my bed and the laundry.
Well, I was thinking about that too. The gym. I'm gonna try and see if I can find him real quick. I think his name was Ty.
Yeah, Ty. That's what I'm saying in first place.
Yeah, he was the one that they asked about. Ty Jenkins. Yeah, there you go. And he was the one they asked about. Staying in shape and blah blah blah, and he was doing it for other sports. Like, imagine going back for like high school football right now. Their first game is like next week, for this Friday, and it's like, okay, guys, sorry, I was gone for like 10 days. What did I miss? And they're like, well, I think you.
Well, you got to do drills. You got to catch up with the rest of the team.
You're not in football shape. You're in CrossFit shape right now. So we need you to run some drills. But very cool, and that just shows the beauty of the sport. Just from the lowest of low divisions to the highest of highs. I mean, anybody can do this.
Did you catch any of those events for the teens? Because I'm seeing the leaderboard for the teens division on boys, and it's first place 610 points, second place 570, then 565, 560.
I did
by
not
5 points. So I think it wouldn't be cool if you would have seen the last maybe 2-3 events.
Would have been fantastic.
It was so close.
My itinerary, I was going to get there right around the last 2 events, and I had a slight delay. There was some rough weather in West. So the night before I was supposed to be there, and you and I have been to Bonnaroo before too. So they have an RV park where all the CrossFitters that want to can rent or bring RVs, and they park, and it's kind of like Bonnaroo, like camping, basically a campground.
Nice.
Except instead of music and drinking carbonated waters, and eating cookies, they're celebrating fitness. They had to evacuate the RV park because there was a tornado the night before.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so they took everybody from the RV and they took them to the football field where they do all the outdoor events.
Got it.
And so when I flew out on Thursday morning, the weather was still pretty rough early in the morning on Thursday. So our flight got delayed a little bit. And so I didn't get to catch any of the teen or the Masters event. I would have honestly liked to have seen the Masters events more, because I'm not going backwards in time. I'm only going forwards, unfortunately. So, but it was very, very cool. And I just really liked the fact that everybody kind of still hung around and enjoyed the rest of the week as long as they could,
Yeah, it's nice to have live events again, like with a lot of people. Like it's just enjoying watching sports, concerts, like any kind of events, like brings people together. It's just kind of cool, like feel the vibe and have a good environment.
Absolutely. And that was one thing. Uh, I was there. I was recording some footage for some freelance projects back here in Tennessee, and by far the coolest thing was, when you're there, you can hear how loud it is, and you send someone a video and you hope they appreciate it. And a couple of videos that I sent, I immediately got response, and they said, "Holy crap, that crowd is going crazy." And there was two times for sure. We already talked about Annie Thorstadter when she hit that snatch overhead. Crowd just went crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Earlier in that same event, Haley Adams on a little bit lighter weight, she failed the rep, and then she went and tried it a second time. And you're supposed to drive with your knees out when you're coming up. This didn't
Yeah.
really look textbook by any stretch, but she hung and she locked it out, and she sat there at the bottom for like a full second. It felt like it was like 10 seconds because it was like slow motion. And she made this face, and she just started rising up, and you could hear the whole crowd, like their heart jumped into their throat.
Yeah.
And just getting louder and louder. And once they knew that she was going to
Yeah.
get it, the crowd was just insane. It was bonkers. And
Yeah. It looks like when you're watching doing any lift like snatch, clean, or whatever it is, you kind of holding it, just watching until they make it high enough when you know you got them, and then
Yep.
just start cheering on. Like I think that's what happened. Like it's going higher, it's getting up, and everybody is like, "Oh my god, she's gonna do it, she's gonna," and then everybody went.
it was fantastic. And then obviously the two other big pops of the weekend were obviously Medeiros when he came across the finish line was just bonkers. And that's mainly because that was a cool part. His parents were sitting in the front row.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And he runs, and he said he didn't even know. I don't know if I assume he's telling the truth, but he said he gets, so it was, I forget the distance, but it was a back rack lunge or front rack lunge, one of the two, and then overhead for the last one. And he said he thought his parents were off to the other side. And so he was like looking around and hoping he would see his parents. And then all of a sudden he just like happened to look forward
there.
And they were right there, just like, come on, come on, come on. So that was very cool. And so the crowd went crazy. And the other really, really cool event to see live, and I got very fortunate because the seat that I had assigned that particular time was right near the end zone. Is it Danielle Brandon when she went on the handstand walk event, which was kind of
she killed that one.
Yeah, Danielle Brandon, she did the handstand walk event. Like, I mean, just abs. I'm pulling up the time here because I want to do it justice, because it was like sub 2 minutes, and everybody's thinking, yeah, she did it in 1 minute and 43 seconds.
Yeah, she didn't stop.
Basically unbroken, yeah. And the crowd, again, kind of like they did with Haley, like, they're slowly seeing it. Once they realized, they were like, she's not slowing down. Then it just kept getting louder and louder and louder. And, she jumped across the finish line. She shot the double birds to everybody, to the haters. And, that was the cool part too. That was one of the other cool storylines, is that two of her teammates didn't compete because of COVID. And so she had to do constant supervision, constant testing. And I don't know the exact details, but one of the events that involved running, there was kind of a weird deal where she wasn't going to be able to compete because of the COVID restrictions, unless someone from the other heat volunteered to go with her. It was one of the running events because she couldn't run. It was this, I think it was the sprint event. Don't hold me to that.
Okay.
But it was one of the running events, and she couldn't run essentially unless someone else was in the heat with her, because there's no way to judge the score.
Right.
Essentially. And so someone, I think it was, hopefully maybe I can find that. I feel bad for bringing it up, but I want to say it was Sam Briggs, maybe, was like, you know what, I got you. So she did it with her, and very cool. She did all the competition. I actually ran into her and her friends and family the day after the games. There was a lot of us that hung around Madison for a couple days after. I hung around because the flights were just like insane prices. But it was cool seeing her. She was walking around the square, and I just, kind of gave her and her family just a quick little shout out. I was like, hey, great job this weekend. Had to deal with her two best training teammates weren't there. Imagine that. You train all year. That'd be like me and you going to the games, and then I get COVID and you're on your own,
I know.
So
I would have hated.
I thank you for saying that. So she did that. She battled through it. She had to deal with, testing and masks and all that stuff a lot of the time. And man, it was a phenomenal performance. But that handstand walk will go down as one of the best ovations I heard all weekend for sure.
I'm sure about it. And Wade, one of the final thoughts. What are your thoughts on how do you compare that to any other sports event?
Great question. And it's funny you asked me this because we already mentioned Bonnaroo a second ago. It's kind of like a festival mixed in. It's kind of like a festival for CrossFit almost. It's not like anything I've ever been to sporting event wise.
But it's not like tailgating, football tailgating, and then going into the game, something like that.
There might have been in that RV park that I talked about. They did sell alcohol. I will tell you that. I didn't partake in any of that, but they sold alcohol, and you can, probably at the RV tent, there was probably some tailgating. And I thought that you had to be in shape to go to the CrossFit Games as a joke. You really don't have to be in, you can just go just like anybody else. And I saw all shapes, all walks of life. Some people were having a good old time. Some people were there to root and cheer on their friends. And, some people were there to just party. So it was kind of cool. It was unlike any event that I've ever been to. If you, have any really interest or any, if you consider yourself a fan of the sport or even keeping up with it a little bit, I think it'd be cool to go to for sure. And it's going to be in Madison one more year next year. And then after that, it's up for
grabs.
Yeah, it's up for grabs, selfishly, it'd be real cool to see it in Nashville.
Oh, that will be so cool.
There's a lot of restrictions on, having to have proper facilities and stuff like that. But you and I both know that Nashville doesn't lose a party very often. So that would be a lot of fun. Vegas would be pretty cool too.
I think, I was thinking about it. I thought there's only 3 places I can think about. Well, now in Nashville, so it's 4, but I think it's Nashville, Texas, Florida, or Las Vegas.
That would be awesome. And somewhere out in Phoenix would be not bad too, my friend.
Oh, that would be nice. With the heat, that will be a good test.
Absolutely. We could even do a scorpion pickup.
that will be the final event.
The final event.
Yeah, so, whoever survives, take us home.
Absolutely. But yeah, brother, it was a phenomenal experience. Was very fortunate to go. I do got to give a quick shout out to the newspaper here in Pulaski, the Pulaski Citizen. They were able to grant me media access to go. I probably wouldn't have been able to go otherwise, and got to meet a lot of cool people. Shot a lot of cool content. I was featured on the Buttery Bros, which is a podcast that I really follow and enjoy and watch. Love watching them. Had about a 5-minute interview with them, which was really
nice.
Really cool.
Oh.
That's uploaded on their YouTube channel, and I'm going to share a link or two on that on my personal pages here in the next day or two. But man, it was so much fun, and like I said, I would definitely recommend going. You and I need to get out there next year, my friend.
Yeah, I definitely gonna. Yeah, if not next year, I'm sure I'm gonna get to one of those games somehow. So maybe next year, maybe 2 years, but I'm definitely going, and I will be looking forward to see you there and they have some fun.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right, Wade. Well, it was an honor, man. A pleasure having you here. It was a really good time talking about one of the things that we love the most, which is CrossFit.
Oh man, just yeah, and thank you for having me. It was the honor and the privilege is on this end of the table, my friend. So I promise you, I'm still working on my Spanish to try and get back on, and we'll run this interview back. Maybe next time I'll hopefully have a podcast up and running. I can get you on, and we'll do it in Spanish sometime.
I would love to, man. And I'm to be honest, I'm looking forward to do another episode with you. So let's talk about something else. And well, we'll be waiting for you, man. And I love to see you again. Just want to say goodbye to the audience. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching us. Looking forward to see you guys. Bye bye.